So today you're going to read two versions of the same poem. You're going to read a Greek poem that has been translated by two different people. And my purpose in having you do this is that when you start to look at the way that words turn out, their placement, their selection, you start to pay attention to the details that add up to create a tone or a meaning, getting the theme. We have compared some poems. We have looked at the way that moon imagery is used or night imagery is used. But by having the exact same poem translated two different ways, you're going to see it differently. So, right now I want you just to read through these three different versions of the exact same poem. They've been translated by three different people. So, you'll notice that there's a column here, a column here, and a column here. Please pause the video for a second so you can just read on the screen these three poems. All right, welcome back. I'm hoping that you saw that there were a few differences among these poems. I say among because there's more than two, so between does not work grammatically, but among does. I want you to pay attention specifically to the lines that are marked in yellow, the lines marked in green, and the lines marked in blue. Let's first look at the lines marked in yellow. Please note that in poem 1, up here, that the first point of emphasis we have is night fields. So the first placement is an adjective, then a noun, and so the first image I have is night fields of wheat. The first impression is of wheat at night. This one has the setting first, or at least part of the setting, at night. So I have that image first. Then I have over here the wind first. The placement of those different images or ideas helps make a tone, helps create a mood, helps impact the overall meaning of the poem. On top of that, you have a wandering wind here and a wandering wind here, but a vagabond wind here. The connotation of wandering and vagabond is slightly different in our modern society. Wandering is a little bit more playful, a little bit more light. Vagabond has a feeling of not being able to settle down and a slightly more dangerous connotation to it. You also have rocking and swaying. There's a slight difference there as well. I'm going to ask that this video pause for a second, and I want you to turn to a partner and I want you to say which of these translations, 1, 2, and 3, do you like best and why? Welcome back again. Now, let's take a look at the green part. Here we have again a slightly different order, drawing your attention to a slightly different thing first. Here we have his thousands worlds. Here we have the Heavenly Father, and here we have God the Father. Now, this might seem the same at first, the Heavenly Father versus God the Father, but I would think there is a slight difference in how that might be interpreted. I also want you to note this one. This one has silent God the Father. What is the meaning of silent God the Father versus a Heavenly Father who silently rocks versus God the Father, his thousands of worlds, rocks without a noise? The idea of silence in all three of these is slightly different. We're going to move on to the blue, but I'm going to have you talk one more time. I want you to consider this one. I feel his hand in shades, sensing his hand in the shadow, or feeling his hand in the shadows. In the context of these poems, which one of these phrases is the most calming to you? Is the one that gives you the most sense of peace, Is it 1, 2, or 3? And which one is the least calming to you? The least amount of peace? Why don't you turn to your partner and talk in the context of these poems, which one is the calmest and which one is not? And then I'll see you back here in a second. All right, this was a really, really quick overview of how placement of words and the first image you have and how adjectives are placed might impact the meaning of a poem. Today, I want you to look at a poem, 2 different translations of it, and examine how small details add up to have huge impact on the meaning of a poem. To do that, you're going to be in a group of 4. Note that a group of 4 can be a group of 3 and can be a group of 5. But if you have a group of 6, that's actually 2 groups of 3 that should not be sitting next to each other. So I want you to get in groups of 3, 4, or 5 and then listen for instructions on how to handle the Greek poem.